Hey everyone, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. I got a hold of the new Anastasia Beverly Hills Illuminators, and this is my kind of first impression review comparison with some other highlighters or illuminators. And so if you're interested on my thoughts about Anastasia's new stuff, then let's get started. So today I've got two of Anastasia Beverly Hills brand new illuminators. Part of the reason I only have two is because as I was adding them to my cart when I was shopping on Macy's.com, which is where I got them from, they started to become sold out. And I thought, okay, change of plan. We will not buy all four and talk about all four. We will buy the two that apply to me. And really, actually, that's kind of the best way for me to give you my impression of them because they would be colors that would work well with my skin tone. So I just want to give my first impression as well as compare the two that I purchased to a number of other highlighters that are pretty well known and on the market already, just so that you can get a sense of how the illuminators compare to others. Because really, at the end of the day, you won't know specifically how the highlighter will look on you by looking at what it looks like on me, because it actually just has to match your skin tone and work well with your entire look. But I thought that if I gave you a sense of what Anastasia's looked like in comparison to others, that would be a really good place for you to start in case especially you weren't able to purchase in store and you did like I had to do, which was purchase from Macy's.com. So I've got Anastasia in the house, I've got some other highlighters, I've got brushes, which I'll talk about at the end, and I think we're ready to go. So my review is kind of a review slash first impression because they really did just arrive, but obviously I have not been wearing them for weeks on end to give you this thorough, in-depth analysis. But you know, oftentimes we can go with our first impressions, and I decided to go with that. So I purchased two of them. I got So Hollywood and Peach Nectar. So the packaging is really pretty. I think it's a little bit annoying only in that it like attaches to everything. Dust, little pieces of fuzz, fingerprints. But it is, and you can see, look at that, the fingerprints are there already. But it's a gorgeous black case. It looks similar to the NYX matte bronzer case as well as the Bobbi Brown bronzer case. And so that might be kind of interesting when you go to reach for something in your makeup case and you're like, illuminator or bronzer, illuminator or bronzer. So as I was saying, the two that I purchased were So Hollywood, which is, I would call gold in nature. I think it's the gold toned one. And then the other one that I purchased was Peach Nectar, which was the one I was kind of way more excited about because it really is like a peach highlighter, a peach illuminator. Why did she call them illuminators? Because I want to call them a highlighter. Anyway, it's definitely peach. And so I was curious to see how that was going to work out. So my review slash first impression is that they are gorgeous highlighters. They are super creamy, they are not splotchy, they have a really good color payoff. And my first impression reaction is that I really like them because they are not too much. You know, sometimes you come across a highlighter and it's like major and you have to literally you literally like put the highlighter in the air and blow on it and run into it with your face, like the way you would atomize yourself with a perfume, because it's so intense and you really want to make sure that you don't overdo it. These are way easier to work with, and so if you're unfamiliar with highlighters but really want a good quality one, these would work out really well because you can use a slightly heavy hand and not wind up overdoing it. This is also really good for people who have oily skin, such as myself, because we bring our own glow to the table with our natural oil production factory that I personally have behind or inside my pores. And so this winds up being a really good highlighter because I never want to have too strong a highlight because, like I said, I really do kind of illuminate as the day goes on, and so I bring my own highlighter, right, in my own pocket. And so a highlighter that isn't so overwhelming really winds up working well for people with oily skin. So I'm going to start with the gold, why can I not say that? I am going to start with the gold toned illuminator. Like I said, it's called So Hollywood. One more time, there it is. So I pulled up a couple other highlighters just as a comparison so you could get a sense of how this looks in comparison to others. I also pre-swatched all of them because it's kind of hard to get highlighters to show up on camera, and so I was playing around with it prior to filming and I was like, okay, I have to be really precise with how this works, otherwise it's not really going to show on camera. And so what I decided ultimately to do was pre-swatch, so that way I had them all lined up and nice and even. It wasn't on the fly, and we could get a really good comparison conversation going on. And so I'll start by showing just kind of all of them. See, already, it's kind of hard to pick up a highlighter on camera. This is the Anastasia at the very top. So Hollywood, and then I'm going to go down the line and we can compare. But if you just look, even just itself, So Hollywood, it's warm toned. It has a hint of silver because that's what a highlighter illuminator needs, but it's definitely warm and it is not cool toned. Has amazing reflection, and the powder, like I said before, itself is very creamy, isn't splotchy, very nice to work with. So that's the Anastasia So Hollywood Illuminator. So by comparison, let's start. I went after the major. This is by the Balm. This is Mary Lou-Manizer. And so this one, like I said, is major. Like, this is highlighting to the extreme. Like, you have to be very, very careful in its application. And so let's see how it compares. So here is Anastasia, and here is Mary Lou-Manizer. A little bit silverier, not a word, but will serve our purpose right now. A little bit silverier. So here we have Anastasia and here we have Mary. Mary is definitely a little bit more silver in nature, like I said. And as such, because it's not as warm, when you wear this on your cheek, on your cheekbones, it does come across as very strong. And because Anastasia is much more muted, it just winds up playing off a little bit more subtly. They are pretty similar, but again, there are some differences. Next, I went with MAC's Soft and Gentle, which is kind of, as they say, quote, cult favorite. And I was actually surprised because I had this vision in my head of what Soft and Gentle looked like. And then by comparison, it was not what I was expecting. So here's Soft and Gentle, which I really want to say now, I don't know, I kind of thought it was warm, and now I'm thinking it's a little bit pink toned. I might wind up using it in my comparison to Peach Nectar, but let's see how this goes. So again, here's Anastasia, here's Mary Lou-Manizer, here's MAC Soft and Gentle. And it winds up being flesh toned in nature with a little bit of silver speckle, a little bit of silver shine, but because it's flesh toned pinky in nature, it doesn't wind up being overwhelmingly silver. So again, Anastasia being way warmer of a tone than MAC Soft and Gentle. So then I went all out and went for the ultimate gold highlighter. This is by Bobbi Brown. This was limited edition. Okay, so this is major gold. And like I said, because of my olive undertones, I really like gold highlighters. By comparison, Bobbi Brown's, what do they call it? It's called Highlight Powder Bronze Glow. Okay, hello. By comparison, it looks brown. Well, like brownish red in comparison to Anastasia, who's up here. And then here is Bobbi Brown's Bronze Glow. And this is very, very warm. And it's actually almost even a little bit too dark for me. But again, with a very light hand, I can kind of get away with it. But I'm still favoring, for just a normal, natural, everyday look, I'm still favoring actually Anastasia. So here's the Bronze Glow by Bobbi Brown. And here is Anastasia. Anastasia, Mary, MAC, Bobbi. Oh, finally, I have Laura. This is the Laura Gellar, and I'm gonna hold this up first, and then I gotta read the really long name. It's the Baked Gelato Swirl Illuminator. Oh, she's an illuminator too, in Gilded Honey. So thankfully she doesn't have a mirror. She's also very travel friendly, but she as well is gold in color, and I would probably say she is the most similar to Anastasia. Anastasia and Laura are like BFF. And so I gotta find it because it's so hard to see on camera. Here is Laura, and again, here is Anastasia, and here's Laura. I'll rotate sideways because I can't bend my arm at that point. Laura Gellar's is a tad warmer, just a tad, little bit richer, whereas Anastasia has a little bit more of a reflection, but really basically the same. I would venture to say that you actually don't need to own both, but really at the end of the day, who actually needs to own as much makeup as we do? We buy it because we like it and want it. So I'm actually very happy and content that I own both right now, because they are subtly just a little bit different. So then just as a comparison, we've got Anastasia, we've got Mary Lou-Manizer by the Balm, we've got MAC Soft and Gentle, Bobbi Brown's Bronze Glow, and Laura Gellar's Gilded Honey, and that's the only part of the name I'm gonna say again because I cannot remember the whole thing. A variety of golden highlights and illuminators, but really the Anastasia is a little bit different, and So Hollywood is a little bit different, and I'm happy about that. I'm going to keep it anyway, but I was happy to know that it was different from everything else that I had. Okay, so I'm back and I've got a clean arm that I have now pre-swatched again, and we're gonna move on to the other end of the spectrum, which is Anastasia's Peach Nectar. Like I said, I was really excited to get this one in particular because there really aren't that many peach illuminator highlighters out there, and I thought that'd be really interesting, and I wanted to really see how it was gonna play out. So here is Peach Nectar, which looks, I mean, in some light looks incredibly dark, and then in other light looks incredibly reflective. So let me show you what Anastasia Peach Nectar looks like. That would be this top one again, like I did with the last series. And it really is very peach. It's picking up a little bit orange. I'm sorry I keep looking at the viewfinder because I want to make sure the camera is picking it up. It's picking up like a little bit orange. It doesn't play off that way, and it doesn't look that way in person, but you can tell it definitely has some color, but still having reflection at the same time. So let's do our first comparison. It's not like there are a ton of them out there, by the way. You know, many of the highlighters are either gold or silver in nature with some slight variation, but there were definitely a couple of comparisons that I could make. So I wanted to start with the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector Pressed. I love that name. And this one is the Rose Gold, which on camera is actually picking up pretty similar to Peach Nectar. But as you'll see, it is a little bit pinker in nature. So this Anastasia has a little bit more of, let's just say, an orange base, whereas the Rose Gold by Becca has a little bit more of a peach base. Anastasia also as well is a little bit more reflective versus the Becca, which is a little bit more of a sheen. The only other one that I really had on hand to compare it to would be the other one by Becca. This is Champagne Pop by Jaclyn Hill. And already you can see that there's a difference in intensity of color, but they do describe Champagne Pop as a peachy pink shimmer. As you'll see now, here is Champagne Pop on the very bottom. Again, Becca Rose Gold and Anastasia Peach Nectar. So Champagne Pop is quite a bit lighter, and it is like, it's paler in nature and like peachier. When people use the word peach to describe the color, I always find that sometimes it's peachy red or peachy pink. So, you know, when it's red, it's much deeper and much darker, and when it's peachy pink, it's a little bit paler. So, paler? So the Champagne Pop obviously being the lightest of the three when it comes to having a highlighter that's got some color to it. But again, kind of all different. Champagne Pop having a little bit more of a silver reflection, but still being a sheen in nature, whereas Anastasia, really, she is very reflective. But that being said, when I've worn it, I really feel like, again, like I indicated at the beginning, I have a lot of control. It isn't overpowering. It winds up being subtle enough that many people, no matter your skill level, will be able to work with it. And that actually is very, very compelling. I believe it was $28, which is kind of right up there. It's kind of the average price. $28 to $40 is what or let's say 20 to 40 is where a good quality highlighter will fall. Not necessarily meaning that a $40 one is better than a $20 one, but sometimes the $40 ones are worth it. At $28, I think this is a really good investment. The two shades that I don't know their names, but one of them, like I said, is Silver in Nature, and the other one is kind of the picture online anyway. It looked like it was like a mauve-y purple almost, which I was just really excited about. I wish I had people around me that I could apply it to, because it seems like it would be really beautiful, but I can't imagine that that's going to look good on my face. And so that was the one that actually sold out while I was in the process of buying the two that I did purchase. Let's talk brushes and just close this up. There's a variety of brushes that you're able to use. Basically, you will apply the best amount and application of highlighter if you use a brush that you're comfortable with. So you can start off with a tiny brush. Makeup Geek. Actually, this is the Makeup Geek. I thought this was a cheek highlighter brush. No, this is the rounded blush brush. So pretty small. You can just kind of dab on top of your cheekbone. So there's a rounded style. This one's by Morphe. It's the E8, the Elite Collection. Same idea, very, very soft. This one and Makeup Geek, pretty comparable to each other. Oh, there's one more. Morphe also has an M335. Same idea, a little bit smaller, a little bit stiffer, so a little bit more control when you're applying your highlighter. You can go for small, fluffy, tapered brushes. This is from Real Techniques. This is their setting brush. A little bit flat, a little bit pointed in nature, glides very nicely. But you get the idea, same idea. So another small, kind of slightly fluffy brush. Morphe has the M510, which is pale, so you can barely see it there. That looks a little bit better. So very precise highlighter application. Very soft, by the way. I'm in love with this brush. You can also use a fan brush. This one I have from MAC. It's the MAC 184. Any fan brush will do. There's a variety. EcoTools makes a great fan brush. Morphe makes a great fan brush. But anyway, fan brush, very light application. Really good to use with highlighters that have a greater intensity, so that you make sure that you don't wind up overdoing it. We do not want to overdo it. My highlighter brush of choice, though, is uncharacteristic because it appears a little bit larger, but it's so fluffy that you can control the amount of coverage that you wind up giving yourself and the amount of area. This is the Morphe M50, I can't read it. Holy cow, that's tiny. It's the M509. So you can see it's pretty large. By comparison, this was the other one that I mentioned, the 510. So I thought I would want to go for this one, but I found that, oh, first of all, let me just say I have a very big face, a big head. Although up here is tiny when I try to wear a hat. But the face area, quite large. So when I would use this brush, it would be as if I were drawing a line on top of my cheekbone, and that is no good. And so I found that when I use this brush, which is so soft, you know, it's not applying a lot of pressure. I could put it on its edge and just kind of go like this, or I could even be more precise and just use the very tip, because you can see that it's one of those pointed brushes. By definition, I shouldn't necessarily want to use this one because it's just different, but it really just, I'm most comfortable with it. And that was kind of my point when I started. You need to use what you're comfortable with, because highlighter application can go wrong very quickly and very easily. So be sure to use something that you're comfortable with so that you will then apply it in the best manner possible. Whereas if you're using a brush that you're not comfortable with, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then it's scary. People can see you from across the room that's dark without any lights. They'll be like, oh, Gina, there you are. Had some fun with your highlighter today? I can see you across the room. So that is my pretty quick first impression / review and comparison. I think they're like a double thumbs up. I don't know where that came from. I don't remember the last time I've actually used a thumbs up. I say they're a go. Go buy one, or go online and go order 1 or 3 or 4. I think they're a very good quality highlighter. I think they're a good deal. I love the color selection. I'm very jealous if you've got the skin tone that would go with that one that's kind of a mauve-y purple in nature, because that one just seems really, really beautiful. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. I'm so curious to know what you think about the Anastasia Beverly Hills highlighters, illuminators, or maybe perhaps what your favorite highlighter is. I would love to know, especially if I didn't use it in this video and I should go out and buy it. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't already subscribed, I would really appreciate it. And if you have already subscribed, thank you so much. I'm on Instagram and Twitter if you have a chance to check me out over there. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. In the meantime, I hope you have a really great day. Thanks.
So I have a variety of comparable highlighters. I'm just going to keep saying highlighters and just call Anastasia's ABHI. Anastasia Beverly Hills Illuminator. ABHI. The other two colors that the Illuminators come in was a silver toned one, which would not... Oh my god, my light! What happened to my light? It was there a minute ago! Ah. Okay, but this whole video is about backup plans. Hold on. Got my Huggies because I'm ready to go. And smells so yummy. I don't know if you can hear my dog Fred. He keeps like walking around on all of my light packaging, which I strew. Hello, I was a straight A student. There's no reason that I should make up my own word called strew. Anyway, I've got all the packaging on the floor, and Fred like feels compelled to like explore and walk all over it, and it's making the most majorly obnoxious noises right now. Pitter patter, pitter patter, pitter patter. Fred, come here. Fred! Fred's old, so he's a little deaf, so I actually have to like scream at him. Fred! Come here! Good boy! Come here. Fred is on film. Say hi. He's like, I don't know what I'm looking at, Mom. I'm not quite sure. My name is Fred. Fred is a Chinese crested powder puff. Normally they are hairless, and they wind up winning the ugliest dog competitions because they because they have no hair. They also have tired, are you, eh? When they have no hair, they also have really bad teeth, so typically they're bald and their tongue winds up hanging out. Like that. Maybe not quite like that. But anyway, they wind up winning the ugliest dog competitions, but he's not ugly, is he? I think he's pretty cute.